the government has finally released the last batch of JFK assassination files. And by finally, I mean it only took them over 60 years to tell us what we mostly already knew. But don't worry, nothing to see here, folks. The same government that takes 18 months to count votes and 60 years to release some paperwork swears there's definitely no conspiracy. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963 was a pivotal moment in American history, sparking numerous investigations and countless conspiracy theories. The Warren Commission was established to investigate the assassination, concluding that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. However, many have questioned this conclusion over the decades. The release of these files is significant as it provides a deeper look into the investigation and the government's handling of the case, though it seems to confirm what many already suspected. So what did we learn? Well, spoiler alert, Lee Harvey Oswald was shady as hell, and the government absolutely knew it before the assassination. He defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, handed out pro-Cuba leaflets in New Orleans, and was even arrested for a street fight. Yet, for some totally not suspicious reason, no one did a thing. Because of course they didn't. Let's break this down. Oswald was on the CIA and FBI radar for years. Turns out Oswald had a 201 file with the CIA as early as 1960, years before he allegedly decided to take down a US president with a mail-order rifle. The guy defected to the Soviet Union, came crawling back, then played footsie with pro-Castro and anti-Castro groups. And the FBI and CIA were like, yeah, we should keep an eye on him. Oswald first caught the FBI's attention when he was arrested in New Orleans for disturbing the peace while distributing pro-Castro leaflets. His defection to the Soviet Union and subsequent return to the US also raised red flags. Additionally, his interactions with known Soviet agents and his address book filled with suspicious contacts kept him under close watch. And by keep an eye on him, they apparently meant let him waltz around Mexico calling Soviet and Cuban embassies like a wannabe James Bond, asking for visas to get back to Moscow. Despite his known defection to the Soviet Union and his pro-Cuba activities in New Orleans, intelligence agencies seemed to overlook his actions. Perhaps it was bureaucratic inefficiency or a lack of communication between agencies. The CIA intercepted a call from Oswald to the Soviet embassy weeks before the assassination. In the call, Oswald discussed his recent trip to Mexico City and his attempts to secure a visa to Cuba. This part is chef's kiss level incompetence, as it highlighted the CIA's failure to act on critical intelligence. The CIA, which had Oswald's phone calls tapped in Mexico City, heard him calling up the Soviet embassy. The conversation went something like this. Oswald, hey, can I get a Soviet visa? Soviet embassy, why? Oswald, oh, no reason, just planning a little trip. CIA, we probably don't need to tell anyone. The call involved Oswald and a Soviet consular officer named Valery Kostakov, who was suspected to be a KGB officer. They discussed Oswald's desire to obtain a visa to the Soviet Union and his frustration with the process. The CIA, aware of Kostakov's background, found the call suspicious, but decided not to act immediately. Yes, they knew he was trying to travel through Cuba to get to the USSR and didn't think this was important information. I mean, if only someone had warned them. Oh wait, they were literally listening to his phone calls. They had intercepted calls discussing his plans. Yet, they chose not to act. Some speculate it was due to bureaucratic inefficiency. Others believe it was a deliberate decision to avoid political fallout. The KGB thought Oswald was a nutcase. One of my favorite parts of this release? A former KGB officer flat out admitted that the Soviets thought Oswald was unstable and unpredictable. They described him as mentally unstable and a man not to be trusted. This assessment was significant because it influenced how the Soviets interacted with him, keeping him at arm's length and under surveillance. In other words, even the freaking communists were like, yeah, this dude's a little too crazy for us. Oswald's erratic behavior and extreme views made even the KGB wary. He once tried to renounce his US citizenship in Moscow, causing a scene at the embassy. So there goes the whole KGB sent Oswald to take out JFK theory. Turns out they didn't need to. The guy was an unhinged disaster all on his own. He defected to the Soviet Union, handed out pro-Castro leaflets, and even attempted to assassinate a retired general. Jack Ruby and Oswald? No connection. For decades, people speculated that nightclub owner Jack Ruby, who conveniently murdered Oswald before he could talk, must have been part of some elaborate conspiracy. Ruby, known for his temper and connections to the Dallas police, shot Oswald in the basement of the Dallas police headquarters. This act fueled theories about Ruby's motives and whether he was silencing Oswald to protect others involved in the assassination. Despite numerous investigations, no definitive link between Ruby and Oswald has been proven. The newly released files include a 1964 CIA memo stating that, after investigating, they found zero connection between Ruby and Oswald. The memo detailed extensive surveillance and interviews, concluding that Ruby acted alone in killing Oswald. This finding was significant as it aimed to dispel conspiracy theories linking Ruby to a larger plot. Which, if we're being honest, makes it even weirder. Because that means Ruby shot Oswald on live TV in the middle of a police station for no reason other than bad vibes? Okay. Ruby, a nightclub owner with mob connections, claimed he did it to spare Jackie Kennedy the ordeal of a trial. But many believe there were darker motives at play. Was it a mob hit? A government cover-up? The questions linger. The CIA was running covert operations with anti-Castro groups, providing them with training, weapons, and financial support, while Oswald was involved with pro-Castro groups, distributing pro-Castro materials and participating in demonstrations. Oh yeah, here's a fun one. The newly released files confirm that the CIA was actively working with anti-Castro Cuban exiles, organizing sabotage missions and intelligence gathering. At the exact same time, Oswald was running around pretending to be a communist revolutionary, creating a complex web of intrigue and deception. Did they cross paths? Maybe. Lee Harvey Oswald was in Mexico City, where the CIA had a significant presence. Did the CIA mention that to the Warren Commission? Nope. And what about Jack Ruby's connections? The web of interactions remains tangled and elusive. The mafia? Still suspicious. The files mention mobster Carlos Marcello, who once allegedly said he was involved in the hit. The mafia had a significant motive, as JFK's brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy, was aggressively targeting organized crime. Marcello, along with other mobsters like Sam Giancana and Santo Trafficante, had the means and the motive to orchestrate such an event. Their involvement remains a topic of intense debate and speculation. The House Select Committee on Assassinations was established in 1976 to investigate the deaths of President John F. Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They concluded that Kennedy was likely assassinated as a result of a conspiracy, suggesting the mob might have played a role. However, the government never officially proved it. Their findings reignited public interest and debate over the true circumstances of these tragic events. But honestly, if there was one group that had a reason to whack JFK, it was the mafia. The Kennedy brothers were running a whole crusade against them, and we all know what happens when you piss off mob bosses. Robert F. Kennedy, as Attorney General, was relentless in his pursuit of organized crime, leading to numerous high-profile arrests and convictions. The crackdown severely disrupted their operations and cost them millions. This relentless pressure from the Kennedys made them significant targets for retaliation. Final verdict: bureaucratic incompetence or cover-up. Here's the real question. Was the government just wildly incompetent, or did they know something and keep it under wraps? Examples of bureaucratic incompetence include lost files, miscommunication between agencies, and a lack of coordination. On the other hand, possible cover-up reasons could be to protect national security, avoid public panic, or conceal internal corruption. The files don't show any smoking gun linking the CIA, FBI, or some shadowy deep state cabal to the assassination. Despite extensive investigations, including the Warren Commission and later reviews, no conclusive evidence has emerged. Declassified documents reveal gaps in redactions, but nothing definitive. Even Oswald's arrest and subsequent murder leave more questions than answers. But they do prove that intelligence agencies had more than enough reason to suspect Oswald before the shooting. The CIA had intercepted communications about his visits to the Soviet and Cuban embassies. The FBI was aware of his pro-Castro activities and even had him under surveillance. Yet they did absolutely nothing to stop it. Some suggest bureaucratic inefficiencies, while others point to interagency rivalries and a lack of communication as possible reasons for this inaction. Oh, and let's not forget, they hid this information for 60 years. If there was truly nothing to see here, why did it take multiple lawsuits, public pressure, and 3 different presidents, including Trump, who wanted full transparency, to finally get all the files released? The Warren Commission's report was criticized for its lack of transparency. The Zapruder film, a key piece of evidence, was kept from the public for years. The Assassination Records Review Board was established to declassify documents, but even they faced obstacles. These files hold significant historical value, shedding light on the events surrounding JFK's assassination. The public's right to know was delayed for decades, raising questions about what was being hidden and why. So, what's the takeaway? Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories, no definitive smoking gun has emerged. The files reveal a complex web of information, but no clear answers. This underscores the enduring mystery of JFK's assassination and its profound impact on American history. Lee Harvey Oswald was a known suspicious character. He defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, raising red flags. Upon his return to the U.S., he was involved with pro-Castro activities, which further drew the attention of U.S. intelligence. These actions gave every reason for authorities to be watching him like a hawk. The CIA and FBI had evidence that could have prevented JFK's assassination and just didn't do anything with it. For instance, the CIA was aware of Lee Harvey Oswald's defection to the Soviet Union and his return to the U.S. The FBI had intercepted a letter Oswald wrote to the Soviet embassy in Mexico City, hinting at his intentions. Yet both agencies failed to act on this crucial information. Some speculate it was due to interagency rivalry, while others believe it was sheer negligence. The Soviets and Cubans didn't send Oswald. The KGB thought he was a lost cause, and Cuban officials dismissed him as unreliable. Both governments had no interest in risking international backlash by associating with him. The mafia might have had a motive. They were threatened by JFK's crackdown on organized crime, and his brother Robert Kennedy's relentless pursuit of mob figures. However, the government never really pursued that angle. And despite releasing almost all of the files, some JFK conspiracy theorists will still claim the real truth is buried somewhere under Langley. They argue that key documents remain hidden, pointing to inconsistencies in the official narrative. Theories range from CIA involvement to mafia conspiracies, each with its own set of evidence and significance. These theories continue to captivate and fuel debates, keeping the mystery of JFK's assassination alive. Bottom line, the only thing we know for sure is that we'll probably never know the full truth. From the mysterious disappearance of key witnesses to the classified documents that remain sealed, the layers of secrecy are endless. And that's exactly how the government likes it.